Warning, this show contains adult language, so viewer and listener discretion is advised. Welcome to another edition of Up and In It, a show dedicated to improving quality of life for both people and planet through liberation and independence, moving you from surviving to thriving and living life on your own terms. That's the new intro to the show. I'm your host, Adrian Babashoff, and this is episode 219, and this is the age of paranoia. And we're broadcasting live from our mobile studio, the F360 96 7.3 liter diesel, but we're stationary today at my farm. For those of you watching, you guys could probably see in the background there, watching this on YouTube, that's all my plants. I'm really looking to grow a lot of my own food and to gain independence, and it's working out very well for me. And in this paranoia episode, I just wanted to talk, we're not driving too, by the way. This is really nice. I wanted to talk about this paranoia because it seems like my inspiration for the show is just listening and watching what people are doing, how they're reacting, and we need to calm the shit down, my brothers and sisters. Let's start off with the media. I think a lot of people know that the news is, some of it's fake, a lot of it's fake. A lot of people don't, there's a lot of distrust in government. There's all kinds of different things going on. So why do we bite what they're feeding us? It's not really helping anybody. And it's a pretty crazy thing. And I think that we've been ran through fear for long enough. And the answers to these things is doing such things as I'm doing, growing your own food. All the stuff that I practice and preach on the show is why I'm becoming less and less paranoid. The anxiety levels going down. And I guess it's when you find information and things that actually work, and you know that you have your ass covered, basically. And I think a lot of people don't have their asses covered. In fact, I know a lot of people don't. And that's probably if you're one listening to the show right now and you're hanging on these words going, yeah, man, I'm freaked out. I don't know what to do. It's because we're on a system of not just this information that we're dependent upon, a false information, and information there to cause paranoia and anxiety and need, right? But when you live a life where you're able to produce, you move from consumer to producer as much as you can, you start to feel a lot like, you know what, it'll be okay. I'm gonna control what I can control, and that's our minds, our spirits, our hearts, our intentions, and everything else that comes with it, our intuition, and to be able to live that life. And I think that what's happening, and it has been happening, is that's the way that the media will control us, is through giving us scarcity and things like that. And if we notice right now, there's a lot of, this is May of 2021, by the way. If you notice, there's a lot of scarcity. There's wars and stuff going on. No matter which way you look, it's just insanity, right? And the people are turning on each other and everything because of what? Because of some of this information that we all know is maybe partly true. That maybe they give us part of the truth. You know, it's a white lie, as they say. I'm not giving you all the information, but I'm giving you, it's true enough, right? I didn't quite lie to you, but the effects seem like they're working. A lot of people are getting paranoid. And I think there's a lot of, that's how the media sells it, I think. And it's what sells too, because the horror stuff really brings in people and it gets a lot more ratings. And what we have happening right now is that regular television is, for those of you who don't know, is battling with the internet, right? YouTube and things like that, Facebooks and all these other platforms. And these platforms are sometimes getting more views and more attention than the actual news is. So we have this thing where they're sliding into social media now, and they're starting to utilize things to gain control, gain popularity, and go where the attention is, right? Anybody who's selling anything, if you want to get a message out there, where would you go? You'd go to the place where it has the most attention. The same thing with money. You're going to go and you're going to invest in something that's actually going to make you money. So it's the same thing, I think, with the media, the news and governments and corporations, all these things, they're all going towards these, the social media platforms. And I believe they're actually hiring trolls and stuff like that to belittle a lot of different things. We spoke, for instance, about how medicine should be your food should be your medicine, and how there's a lot of compelling evidence, supposedly, bought in science. If you guys don't think that science could be bought, geniuses know how to make things, right? They don't have, but they don't know how to make money. They spent all their mind's capacity on learning how to disassemble protons and neurons and neutrons and all the tons, And I think that they need funding. And that funding comes from people who can actually fund to get specific results that they can use to sway an idea. So going on the food, all of a sudden, magically, when you're at the doctor's and you have to have open heart surgery, and they'll tell you to lay off certain essential oils and things like that, and certain foods because there's extra potassium in bananas, or like grapefruit's one with certain medications, it messes around with it, it alters it. So suddenly, these things that when it comes to a life-death situation where someone could get sued, or someone could die, all of these things become actual medicines. So they've been pushing a lot of throughout history in our time that all of these things are just snake oil, right? The essential oils and eating these type of foods and stuff has nothing to do. Yet there's tons of information that we don't see on social media or the news where I just heard the latest one on organic foods. I've got something coming down to the pipe for you guys on the toxicity of foods, which foods to stay away from because of pesticides and things like that. So the latest one during that research that I've been doing for you guys for that show was there was a woman actually right here in San Diego where I live, Sunnyside, San Diego, California. And she switched the food to all organic and got rid of all these pesticides foods. And in this old age home, a lot of these people actually got out of bed and started walking a miraculous amount. And that's like a really beautiful story, right? But it's not covered by anything because attention goes more towards the bad shit. So what we have too going on moving forward is we have individuals, independent entities like me, content creators and stuff like that, who I think disgustingly can see the patterns of how the news and the media and everybody can get so much attention. And I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but a lot of people who just get tons of views on, say, YouTube and Facebook and TikTok and all these kind of things, they get sponsors and they get paid just from YouTube from how many views they get. So these sick individuals in my book, yes, I'm calling you guys out and saying you guys are fucking sickos, right? You're putting out this information, and a lot of it's crazy because it's so compelling. They've got, as I said, all the science and all this stuff. They're giving you everything that they could find to make this thing horrific. But they're not also counteracting and looking, well, what's the positive? What's both the pros and the cons, right? Because if you really start going down the rabbit hole of all this paranoia shit and information in general about almost anything, you're going to find that equally there's stuff that's compelling evidence of why this thing sucks and why it has no actions, it has no scientific backing, it has no reactions with people. This is just, there's nothing to prove that this thing actually works. And then you go to this other side and there's actually tons of proof that these things work, right? So you have to balance through the two, but not a lot of people, I think, are, as I say, unbiasedly going through information. And I think a lot of people don't have the time, right? And that's why I think that if the show was ever to get off the ground, then I could spend a lot more time giving you guys exactly that information, because we're only doing 15-minute segments on here. I've just started another podcast, by the way. It's called Resilient Living Podcast, and it's a family-orientated one. It's a lot cleaner. If the swear words and some of the content bothers you on here, you might want to check that show out. Resilient Living Podcast. But I've got to keep these things down to 15 minutes, but I could see in the future if I was able to do an hour and a half, and I could really put the entire day into. That's why I'm looking to really build this show, because these are things that I want to know anyways, and I'm completely unbiased. I want to know what's going to work. Whatever I feed my family, whatever I put in my child's mouth, that's my fault if they get sick. It's my fault if I tell you guys about something that's great and you get sick and maybe you contracted disease, or even worse, you died. It's everybody's fault for these people throwing this information out there. And when I look at that, to me, these people are almost murderers, like, by not allowing people to heal themselves. There's a lot of people saying that there's these things, certain foods and certain things that they're able to do to cure people from cancer. And that's why what got me with the Gerson therapy was called a beautiful Truth, I think, I can't remember what it was. But that's where I learned about the Gerson. It was all about toxics and foods and stuff like that. And then the Gerson therapy popped up, and they were showing how they had a 95% success rate of healing people from cancer. And I've told you guys this story over and over again. But just look at the what is going on here with that. What was very compelling to me is that, so you mean to tell me that these people can't legally heal people of cancer with a 95% success rate? They have to go to Mexico to do this, because Mexico allows them, they're a lot more lenient and stuff over there. So that's telling us that the systems are making, which you can look it up for yourself, it's a couple billion-dollar industry. I wouldn't be surprised if it was trillion, the cancer, the money that they make through chemotherapies and all these kind of things. And everything's all tied together. The food that you eat making you sick. And I don't want to create paranoia, as I said on these shows and stuff, but I do think that you guys need to realize that there's a lot of good stuff out there that's being suppressed. Moving forward, the art of scarcity, and that's what I look at in sales. In sales, a lot of people will sell you stuff. It's a limited time offer, right? And if we look at this with people trying to sell stuff everywhere, and I think even affecting you emotionally and spiritually as you start bringing scarcity. Right now, we keep having these things of like there could be a disruption in the supply chain for food and gas and homes and things like that. And look at how people react. Let's look at the homes, the real estate, because I do a lot of research on real estate people on the internet to find out where they're investing. These are big time, multi-million-dollar investors, and they're talking a lot about the economy and what's exactly happening right now with the inflation. And a lot of them are saying we're definitely heading towards a recession. These are multi-million-dollar people who are moving big money looking to purchase land. And one of the things they're saying there's because of the scarcity, there's not so many homes, it's driving the prices up. You have people battling to fight to buy a house. So the house would originally have sold for $1 million. By the time they really want that house, it's going for like $1.25 million, right? So it's everybody's going, well, then we'll rise our prices up. Look at how scarcity starts to really just affect people, even when they're not even hurting. It's like it just makes them, you can't have it, right? This is something like if you want it, you can't really have it, and it just drives people nuts. I gotta have it. So look at the habits in yourself that affect you with scarcity, and look in the general population as a macro, and watch how these things are affected. And I think these tools are known by salespeople. I'm in sales. That's what I do. I own my own business, and I have to go sell every single job that I do. I do not do it with scarcity. I actually come in very confidently and tell them I'm very patient. I'm not going anywhere. The other guys gave the price for half, but there's no way, and here's why. And I just go completely as if I was talking to a friend of mine. And I consider everybody a friend of mine until they do me wrong, right? But I just treat them like a human being. I human up, as we say at the end of the show. And that's where I look at is people feel a lot more comfortable. Do I win every single job? No, I don't. I'm not as fierce as some of these other salespeople, but I really don't like that scarcity tactic. I don't like being treated that way, and I sure as hell don't like to treat other people that way. Moving forward, how to tell a lie professionally. This is how sick people are. And I know this one's getting dark, huh? I want to give you guys some good stuff, but I just want you guys to understand, though, when you're paranoid and you're freaking out, like you got to understand that a lot of these things they have a lot of these people know how to manipulate. And here's one: when you do sales or you're trying to convince something of anything beyond sales, anything, you always want to make eye contact, right? So if you're telling a lie and it's hard for you to tell a lie, I learned this one, and it is sick, is instead of staring right into somebody's eyes, stare at their forehead and start talking. I mean, you can literally be looking at someone's eyes and just move up to their forehead and start saying what you want to say. Don't look directly in their eyes, and they can't tell the difference. They're thinking that you're looking directly in their eyes. And what's happening here is that you're focusing on their forehead, saying your bit, and you're not even blinking, moving, anything. They're like, wow, this person's coming off with this confidence, right? Because when we look in each other's eyes, I think there's an exchange there of energy, which is crazy. Few people could just sit there and stare at each other in their eyes and not say a word. There's an exchange that happens. But look how sick all this is happening. Like what's going on with these kind of things. And I think that in social media as well, I think with the phones, like definitely TikTok and stuff like that, I research a lot to figure out what's going on because I want to get the show off the ground and start maybe doing a lot more TikTok. And I notice I'll just be watching these videos and they're just one after another, bam, 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 it's just hitting my eyes and I can't seem to stop looking at it. Next thing I know, it's like 20 minutes and I'm like, wow, I was just going to look through a few. So they're doing this thing with phones, with energy, lighting, and flashes and all kinds of stuff that really hones us in. And why all these distractions? I think I made it pretty clear as my last note here is that I think it's a method of control. When we have people who are wandering around and they're freaking out, they're uncontrollable, and I mean they're controllable, but when we have the opposite, damn, our 15 minutes are up. When we have the opposite, I want to leave you guys, we have somebody who's able to grow their own food like I'm doing, someone who's able to make money, understands a little bit about money, right? I'm not saying I don't have everything all figured out about inflation and things and investing and things like that, but I do know that a simple life and what I've coined as an alternative lifestyle design, when you start being able to design your life and you work within the parameters that you have and you stop buying into all the paranoia and everything because everything's created in the mind. It's the biology of the belief, right? Biology of belief. The things that you believe can actually change you biologically, that it can make you depressed. Think about it. It hurts. If you need science to prove it, physical abuse is nowhere near the abuse, the feeling that you get when you're verbally abused. So words have a lot more power, the tone and things like that. But when you start to go off on your own and you start living what I've coined the alternative lifestyle design, and you start getting things under your belt where, like me with this coming recession, I think we're totally coming. It's going to hit. And right now, a lot of things are slowing down for me and financially for business and everything. But I'm okay. I'm fine. I've got my own food growing. I've got money in the bank. I have my income, my emergency funds and things like that. And I still have, I'm diversifying. I've got money coming in a little bit from here, a little bit from over there. It's not much, but I'm understanding I am in control of what I could do financially and with the food where I live. I can pick up and move if I wanted to in a matter of days. So I'm not cemented or stuck in anything. And I have to tell you guys, the feral life, the undomesticated life, the freedom of mind to be able to create, to do whatever it is that you want to do, to believe in yourself, as I always say. I believe in you, but you got to believe in yourself. Once you get that down, you're unstoppable, and the paranoia and all of these things start to become actually an irritating nuisance. Nobody knows what the fuck's going on, and a lot of people are sitting there talking about a bunch of speculation and shit like that. Meanwhile, you could be gardening. Meanwhile, you could be educating yourself about what type of foods to buy that are that are less pesticide laden and things like that. There's so much to do that you don't have enough time in the day. And when you start focusing or hearing people talking about shit and they're not doing anything about their lives, it makes you sick or just tired or irritated where you're like, you know what? Forget it. I'm done talking to you or listening to this conversation. I got stuff I got to do to better my life. So start doing, start creating. I hate doing these small shows. Guys, we have upandinit.com now. Yes, I'd like to tell you, go to upandinit.com. We have an actual website built. You guys can subscribe and like and all that kind of stuff and comment there. I made it very easy for you guys. Let me know what you think about the new site. And if you guys like this sort of thing, help me get the show off the ground. Give me some reviews. Give me some thumbs up. Comment. Thumbs down, thumbs ups. Anything helps. We're going to continue to the rest of the year. And in 2022, we may shut the show down. So please, guys, if you want this to go, help me out here. If you like this sort of thing, check it out. It's Up and In It on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and anywhere where you guys could find the podcast. And I'd also like to say I'm doing some premium, extra content on the Facebook group, the private Up and In It Facebook group. So go check it out there. And as I always say, go out there and have yourself a near-life experience. Don't lose your muchness. Carry on the fire. Human up. Live it, love it, own it, and bone it, my friends.